Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So first I'd like to acknowledge the Kiddush is sponsored by Sandy and Jack Jacobowitz in celebration of their, get this, 58th wedding anniversary. Wow. I was just thinking about that with Miriam, what that means. And, we're no, we've been married a decent amount of time, but this is like unbelievable. Really, really incredible. And they have a lot to teach us youngsters. So very, very happy for them and wish them much simcha for the rest of their lives. May have Esrim Shana. And also Kiddush is sponsored by Bruce Taubman, our president, and Alex Prombaum in payment of a debt over a bet with Ed Phillips, a college football game. I think Wisconsin lost to Ohio State. Somehow those guys have Wisconsin connections, Bruce and Alex. And Ed's Ohio State college football team slaughtered them, I heard. So I'm sorry for your loss, but your loss is apparently our gain. So thank you for sponsoring. Also, Kiddush is sponsored by Alex Prombaum separately in celebration of his 30th birthday, which is a milestone. However, he's being a little cheap because he really should have paid back the debt on a different Shabbos, and he celebrates his birthday. Two separate things. We got him a cake anyway, so happy birthday, Mazal Tov. So this week is a very exciting week for the shul because finally we were recognized to be existent. We exist because the Jewish Exponent wrote a story about the shul. It's a really amazing story, beautiful story, and we thank Eric Berger for doing such hard work trying to get an appreciation for what's special about our shul. And although he left out some details, which is always going to be the case in these articles, can't write everything. Excuse me. But it was an excellent article, left out. We spoke last night about Alex. It talked to him for a half an hour. It didn't quote him once, but I believe that Alex gave over a feeling of our shul nonetheless, and it was included. He also left out, he mentioned I got smicha from Yeshiva Sol Ruvain, but left out the fact I got smicha from Ner Yisrael. Small things, not a big deal. And there's a lot of things to speak about our shul in general, but we're really grateful for the positive article that was written, and God willing will continue to grow. He did capture the essence of our shul. Part of the essence of our shul is the concept of joy. I had is a member of the shul who recently moved out of the community. Excuse me. He told me that he has an opportunity to daven in any shul he wants. All the shuls in Center City are open to him. Chose our shul. I asked him why to choose our shul. He said one word: joy. He feels joy in the room, which I think is a tremendous compliment. This is something I mentioned on Simchas Torah, because our Simchas Torah services go about an hour and a half longer, or an hour longer than our Yom Kippur services. And I said I was very proud of our shul. That's the way I think it should be. That the holiday of Simcha, of joy, should overtake the serious day of Yom Kippur. Even though I try to stress that we're joyful on Yom Kippur, it's still a very somber day, very holy day. And this is also what John Grabman had to say in the article. Like he said, he's all of a sudden has a tremendous vocabulary over here. He says, my shul in Brooklyn was quite somber. Actually, that's not the right word. What's the more correct word is austere. Yeah, so, but he said, everyone, as opposed to Philly, where in Makor Bracha, where everyone is trying to have a great time. Sounds like we have a little poker game going on during services or something. Maybe he's talking about the Kiddush Club, but it's true. People in our shul want to have a good time, and we want to enjoy shul. We want to look at shul as a place that we want to be, and we want to come to. We look forward to coming to, and we look forward to spending time in. And I think this connects to our Parashat, because this Parashat is full of laughter. I always say that these Parashas have more camels, at least in Chaisara, more camels than any other section of the whole Torah. I think it's also true to say that our Parasha has more laughter. We have the fact that when Avraham Avinu finds out that he's going to have a child at 100 years old, he laughs and says, can a 100-year-old man have a child? 90-year-old woman? How is that possible? And then we have Sarah laughing. the same issue. And then Yitzchak is born. His name is Laughter. Specifically, his name is Laughter. Very strange. And then we have Yishmael playing around with Isaac, with Yitzchak, and it's described as laughter, tzachik. And then we have Yitzchak and Rivka having marital relations. Next week's parsha, actually in Toldos, and actually it was in Chaisar. Sorry, and we have laughing. It's called laughter. So what's the deal that everything we speak about is dealing with laughter? And if you look at the specific cases that Sarah laughed and Abraham laughed, it's very odd because when Sarah laughs, they make a big deal about it. They say, God complains. What's Sarah laughing for? And then Abraham accuses her of laughing, and she says, "No, I didn't laugh." He says, "You did laugh." What's going on over here? Do we have like this who's telling the truth? You need a lie detector test over here. And why is God complaining about Sarah? Why is he complaining about Sarah? Avraham seems to have exactly the same issue, and he's not laughing. God's not complaining. Sorry. So what's the deal over here that all of a sudden, when Sarah laughs, it's a big deal, it's a problem, God complains. When Abraham laughs, no complaints. So we have to understand that. And if you look, the next part of the section of the Torah continues without an interruption. There's no parsha in between, and just go straight into the next section, which is the destruction of Sodom. And this is a very strange section. We spoke about this many times, but there are different aspects of it. But the fact that Abraham's like bargaining with God, there's 50 righteous people, there's 45 righteous people, there's 40, 30. It sounds like an auctioneer. Where do I have 40, 40, 40, 40, 30, 30, 30, 20, 20, 20? What's going on? And then it gets to 10, and then he's like, okay, forget it. It reminds me of the scene in the movie Airplane, which is a spoof of the movie Airport, where you had one of the passengers trying to land the plane because the entire crew was knocked out. They were sick from the food. They weren't functioning. So there's all this debate going on and discussion going on Earth about this flight in the sky. And then they show this show called Point Counterpoint, where someone says their opinion, and then the other one says the contrary opinion. So the first person obviously is all worried, what's going to happen, and we're praying for them, and we're hoping that they'll figure this out. And then the other guy has the opposite point. So he says, they bought their tickets, they knew what they were getting into, I say let them crash. So that's what Avraham Avinu is doing over here. He's saying, okay, let them crash, let the whole place die. Avraham is trying to pray for them, and you get the 10 tzaddikim, it's not 10 tzaddikim, forget it. No tzaddikim, they should all die. What's Avraham Avinu doing? So I thought to answer these questions with an encounter experience I had, which is not a lot of people have. They walk down the street on Chestnut Street or Walnut Street, and sometimes you have individuals there trying to sell charities, global. They'll approach you and they say, do you have 2 minutes to help with global warming? Or, do you have 2 minutes for civil rights? Who doesn't have 2 minutes for civil rights? Do you have 2 minutes for feeding children, children in poverty? Come on, you got to have a heart. And then, of course, you speak to the person, and they start selling you this charity and give you credit card in. And most of the time, I don't have time to speak to these people. But there was one time when someone stopped me. I said, "Okay, about children," and I gave my credit card. I said, "What the heck? To help out, it's a very good cause, Children International, and I'm still doing it. I charge my credit card every month, but I feel it's a good cause." And the way they market it and the way they treat those who give is very interesting. They don't just say, there are 4 million or 10 million starving children in America, because that's a big number. You can't really relate to that number. So what they do is they send me a package with a child. This child's name is Mike or whatever it is, Jerome, and this is your child that you're supporting. So you feel like you have a connection to the individual child. Otherwise, it's just a number: 4 million, 10 million, 20 million. But when you deal with one child, then all of a sudden it tugs at your heartstrings, and you feel a certain connection to this individual. And I think this is really a tremendous lesson in many aspects of life. I think it's a reason why people think this way. It's a reason why people market this way, because it really works. And I think this explains Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu is, trying to help Sodom. But if it's just a city that he's trying to help, it's very hard for him to connect. However, when we're dealing with 10 tzaddikim, 10 righteous people, then he can say, I could daven for them because I can connect to this entire city through these 10 righteous people. But otherwise, there's no such thing as someone davening for someone else. There's a famous question that's asked: how is it possible that we go to the kvaros of tzaddikim, the resting places of righteous people, and pray? You're not allowed to pray to a righteous person. You're not allowed to pray to anybody except for Hashem. That's a fifth of the Yud Gimel Likud. You can't pray to a person. So when I go for a blessing from a Rebbe, right? I go to a Rebbe and I ask him for a blessing. I mean, that's like borders and idol worship. How is that allowed? So I heard the name of Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky. He said it's very simple. They asked him this question for himself. How come people go to you? Are you God? You could answer. He says, no. Very simple. He says, I'm not praying on your behalf. I'm not an intermediary. I'm praying for you because I see you're hurting, and therefore I'm hurting. So in order for me to feel better, I tell God, look, I'm sad. Why are you sad? Because this person's sad. This person is going through tremendous difficulty, and therefore it affects me negatively. And I'm davening for you to help me, not to help him. To help him in order to help me. That's really what's going on, and it's something people don't understand. It can't be that the tzaddik is davening for you, because then it's, God forbid, it's an intermediary. It's a violation of one of the Yud Gimel Likud. That's very serious. But if the person is davening for you because he wants to feel better, that makes a lot of sense. He connects to you. So Avraham Avinu, the same thing. He connects it. Doesn't connect to anybody. He can't connect to the city at all. Then what is he doing? He's davening on behalf of the city. It's not going to work. So there's got to be that connection. And I think this is also what's happening with Avram and Sarah. If you look at Avraham Avinu, when he davened, when he laughed regarding Yitzchak being born, he didn't do it in a personal way. He did it in an existential way, like a very general concept. He says, "Is it possible?" It says in Parashat Zion, Pasuk Zion, "Vayipol Avram al panav, vayitzchak," and he laughed. Avram fell on his face and he laughed. Vayomer belibo, he said in his heart, "Halavin me'ah shana yivoled ve'im ishal habas tishim sana teled." Is it possible that a 100-year-old person should be a father, should be able to give, be someone who has children? Sarah bas tishim, Sarah's 90 years old, and she should be able to give birth. So he says, believe, he says in his heart, meaning his heart always refers to not just emotion, it refers to bina. Bina is hamevi davar mitoch davar. You remember, you learn something, you think of something in a deep way. So intellectually, he's saying to himself, wow, it would be the most amazing thing if a 100-year-old person or a 90-year-old woman could give birth. He's very generalized. He's not speaking personally. So, but when Sarah talks, she's talking personally. When Sarah talks, she says, "Vatitzchak Sarah b'kirba." Sarah laughed in her heart, inside of her. It's like they say, when I was in high school, they used to joke around when someone used to say a joke that wasn't funny. So he used to say, the person will tell a joke and the guy has a total straight face and he says, "I'm laughing inside. I'm laughing on the inside." And I guess all of you also laughing on the inside. But, that's basically what Sarah did. She laughed on the inside. She laughed inside of herself, which means in her heart. And the question, is asked, how do we know that she laughed in his heart? How did Moshe know? It had to be from God. So the Gemara Megillah Daf Tes says they had to change this word to Bikroveha, that she laughed among her relatives. But she basically laughed inside of herself on a personal level. Lemor, acharei beloti, v'haisli edna, v'adoni zakin. She says, it's a very personal thing. She says, I'm not having my period, and my husband is old. It's all personalized laughing. So God is also unoffended. Right? God says, right? I'm old. How can I give birth? Is it not possible for God to do anything? Right? God's personally affronted because he's saying, Sarah is saying this on a personal level. Personal level, God can help you with anything. If it's just general, okay, fine. You can say generally it's crazy. Scientifically, it's ridiculous for a 100-year-old to give birth. Fine, you could question God. You could ask a question. You could be wondrous. How is it possible? But when it comes to personal things, God cares about us. He wants to answer our tefillos. And he can do the impossible. God's not going to do anything. So when it comes to personal things, that kind of laughter offends God because God's saying, don't make fun of a personal relationship between us because I can do anything. And I think that this is something that Jack and Sandy have taught us, is that not only do they laugh, but they laugh and they connect in a very personal way. So I love Sandy's comment on the article. She said how much nachas and this pride we get from the vibrant community that we have and the younger people, that they have so much nachas, seeing the next generation is so connected to Yiddishkeit, so connected to their Jewish roots. And Sandy has expressed to me that it wasn't that way necessarily in her day and age. And things are getting much better. That we see the connection of the younger generation, how much they love and connect to their tradition, their heritage, their religion, to Yiddishkeit. And I think that's something that's really beautiful about our shul, that we know how to laugh, we know how to have joy, and we also know how to connect in a very personal way to our Yiddishkeit and to Kadosh Baruch Hu, to God. And God willing, if we continue on this path, we will continue to grow both physically and spiritually for many years to come. Shabbat Shalom.